one topic I get asked about a lot from different clients or different followers on the Instagram is essentially, how do I juggle different things at the same time? And it's hard for me to quantify to one simple answer because, quite frankly, a lot of you guys that ask me that, or a lot of the people that ask me about different things. You see, some people are asking me, well, how do I run two businesses at the same time? Or how do I run my business? And then how do I also do my 9 to 5 job and build up my side hustle? And then some people mean, like, well, how do I juggle multiple different things in life going on at the same time? And it's really hard for me. This topic has been brought up to me a handful of times since the podcast started, and I did a bunch of different episodes thinking that like people could connect the dots and do it themselves, but I'm gonna have to kind of formulate it into this one episode. So it's gonna be a little bit challenging, but bear with me, okay? So first and foremost, if you listen to the most recent episodes, we talk about like adapting and trusting processes and things like that. And that all kind of ties together, okay? So let me try to put a bow onto this topic, okay, of juggling multiple things at once. First and foremost, you need to have some sort of system of discipline and routines in your day to day life, period. Okay. And I don't mean them to be really complicated, and I don't really mean them to be really extravagant. I mean, sometimes literally what I mean is the way you go to bed every night needs to be the exact same, and the way you wake up needs to be the exact same. Okay. If you're able to do the beginning and the end of your day correctly, a lot of the things in the middle will kind of just take care of itself. Okay. And also, I would also maybe do something like the Simple Disciplines program. If you have questions about it, you can ask me, because what I do with my clients is the first 4 weeks of the program is we're focusing completely on them as the individual, on setting up routines, um, slowly with little steps, adapting slowly with little steps, making more and more refinements as the weeks go on. In that way, you can see in the progress in that month. You can see, hey, I went from hitting the snooze, sleeping too late, having crappy sleep, to, okay, I am literally sleeping 8 hours a night. I don't feel rushed. I feel really proficient in the things that I'm doing, really getting better with time management, et cetera, et cetera. Because what the Simple Disciplines program does for the first 4 weeks is it helps establish the skills and the principles you need in order to be better at time management, which is super important for a lot of people if you are juggling a lot of things, such as multiple businesses, maybe a lot of things in life going on at the same time. And in reality, you're never going to be perfect at it, okay? But one thing I will say is to kind of set a priority list, okay? Set a priority of what needs to get done today, like a critical list. Critical task list is what some entrepreneurs would say. Set up a critical task list. These critical tasks I need to do on Monday. These critical tasks I need to do Tuesday. And then have kind of like, um, you know, like a passive task list. Okay, by the end of the week, I need to have this done. And I can do a little bit of it every day, Monday through Friday. And then by Friday, it's done. And that task will be complete. Okay, so it's kind of having two different lists of priority, like critical, or setting a priority list, but having them breaking down into critical, and I'm just using the word passive. Okay, and I don't mean passive as in like it will just get done on its own. I mean passive as in you can do it passively a little bit every single day. Okay, like for some people, this is just an analogy. Some people, when they write like an essay for school, they will write it in a little bit at a time by Friday. I do it differently, so that doesn't mean that my way is wrong or their way is wrong. It just means we do things differently. So another thing, along with making priorities, is understand how you get things done. I am not a procrastinator, okay? If I get an assignment for class, I'm in college right now. If I'm getting an assignment for class, I usually try to get it done as soon as possible. That way, honestly, it's just gives me the peace of mind that it's done. And also, I like to have my own free time. I like to do things where I just, are able to chill. To be honest, if it was up to me, I would get all of my work done by 2 p.m., 3 p.m. every day. And then the rest of the day I can spend doing things like that I want to do, or some of those passive tasks that I was talking about. Okay. Understanding how you are able, like understanding your capabilities and limitations, capes and limbs, as we'd say in the military, understanding your capes and limbs will help you identify what you can get done in a timely manner and what you need more time on. And then along with that, I would also say understand what things you could do at the same time and what things you can't. Like, for example, like when I'm done with this podcast, it's going to take a time. It's going to take time for this video to render. It's going to take time for it to upload and all these things. So when this is done, I can go do something around the house, right? Like two things at once, or I can work on a different post for the Instagram while this is loading. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like, understand, like some things just take time, but it's like hands off. Like quite literally what I mean is, like, if your computer's loading, what can you do in that time when your computer's loading? If you're a content creator, you understand a lot about this, is that sometimes it takes a long time as far as recording, or I mean, sorry, excuse me. It doesn't take a very long to record. It takes longer to edit. So it's like, let's say, okay, I have 20 minutes right now. I can record this video, and then later when I get home after my 9 to 5, then I can edit the video. Okay. Or if you have a lot of free time, let's say on a Sunday afternoon, let's just say you can record a lot on a Sunday afternoon. That way you can post throughout the week. Okay. So setting a priority list and then breaking it down into critical and passive, understanding your own capabilities and limitations as far as how you get work done and what you're good at. Like, I allow myself more time to edit videos because I am not very good as at other people at, editing videos and things like that. However, when it comes to recording this podcast, I do this in one take. I genuinely know what I'm going to talk about before I hit record on this podcast. So when it comes to recording the actual meat and potatoes of this podcast, which is what you're listening to right now, I can do this in like 30 minutes or however long the episode is. Okay. But when it comes to editing this podcast, as far as like making the intro, fragmenting together, making the description, and then actually publishing it, that takes me a little bit more time. So sometimes what I'll do is I'm like, okay, I have 45 minutes right now. I'm not going to feel rushed if I just record right now and then come back and post it and edit and whatever later. Okay. So it's like understanding that you don't have to do things in a linear order all the time. Okay. If you're doing two different businesses, sometimes something's got to take a back seat. So I would recommend focusing on perfecting one thing, right? Then tackling this other side gig or this other business. Okay. If you're working a 9 to 5 and you're trying to build up a side hustle, what I would say that is I have a lot of clients that do this. For example, I have one client. She's a bartender. She works in a restaurant and she's building up a fitness business on the side. Is her 9 to 5? She doesn't actually work 9 to 5. I'm just her regular job. It's a block of time, and she can't do anything in that block of time. So she knows that she is limited on her time outside of her work that she has to report to in order to get things done. And she takes advantage of those days off. I recommend those days off that you do get, like let's say if you work Monday through Friday, make your Saturday from like 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. like a mini self-work day, okay? It can still be a leisure. You can still, do things around the house. You can still sleep in a little bit, but you'll have that peace of mind knowing that you got a lot of things done. And then after that 1 p.m. hits, then, organize the house a little bit and then take the rest of the day off and do whatever you want. And then Sunday, you have that whole day that with that peace of mind, knowing that you got everything done and you're going to start Monday off, at 100%. So understanding how to structure your week, i.e. planning things and getting that is like one of the biggest proponents of being really good with time management. Okay. I don't with my clients when they say like, well, I want to read every day. I'm like, okay, Well, let's just start you off reading with 5 minutes a day. And that's the floor. That's not the ceiling. That's the floor. That's the minimum you're going to read every day. I have clients who try to do different courses, real estate, get their some sort of certification, whether it's fitness or nutrition or whatever certification, and they have trouble getting through all their material. Okay, so what I tell them is, and they all have jobs, and they have their own businesses. What I tell them is we're going to start off with just 10 minutes a day. You're going to set a timer for 10 minutes, and you're going to get it, at the very minimum, get that 10 minutes in. And if you want to keep going, that's fine. But don't think that if you do 20 minutes on Monday, you don't have to do the 10 minutes on Tuesday. There's a minimum requirement every single day for your task, i.e., reading, that you need to do every single day, because those little disciplines repeated consistently over time is what leads to great gains. Okay, so understanding that setting minimums for things does not mean that you get to like take a day off because you do double the day before. Okay, imagine if you did double on Monday and then you just did the bare minimum on Tuesday, which is that 10 minutes, and then you were able to get a little bit more done on Wednesday. You get a lot more done than if you were to think, okay, if I do it all Monday, or if I do an hour on Monday, then I don't have to do the rest of the week. Just do a little bit every single day. That way it frees you up more time to be able to do these other tasks, because a lot of times what happens, especially with my clients, is life just happens, and life is going to happen. You're not going to be able to avoid certain situations in life, like emergencies or days don't go as planned, or you don't get things done because you don't feel good or whatever. So understanding that if you can get the minimum, like set minimum like requirements every single day, and no matter what, like those take a priority. Okay, and those would be high in your priority list. That's one way you can kind of, despite circumstances, make progress in areas. Okay, and be rigid in those, like be stubborn that you're gonna do your hour at the gym, you're gonna do your 10 minutes of reading, you're gonna do 20 minutes of coursework, you're gonna do 10 minutes of meditation. That's really only not even 3 hours of your day. Okay, you can, if you sit down and watch Netflix and you're complaining about not getting stuff done that you want to get done, I can't help you. Okay, I'm not saying you have to grind 24/7. What I am saying is if you can just grind hard for 4 hours a day outside of what you're doing, you're going to get so much done. Trust me, I'm all about having free time. I'm all about, like, I like playing video games with my friends. I like doing stuff with my dog. I found a new show on Netflix that I like and I'm watching it, but I make sure that I am comfortable when I'm doing that. I don't find, and I think this is going to resonate with some people, I don't find free time relaxing knowing that I have stuff that I can be doing. Okay? It's almost like it's not like restful relaxation. It's like stressful relaxation. It's like forcing myself to relax. Like, just if you know things need to get done, just do them. I know that's really simple to say. This show is called It's Not Complicated. It's because it's not. Just, if you're sitting down and you're going to, I'm not saying if it's 10 p.m., 11 p.m., you got to get those things done. I mean, like, sometimes if you're starting a business, there's going to be some late nights. But what I mean is that, like, don't like come. This is what I tell my clients all the time. It's a Newton's law of motion. What's in motion stays at motion. What's at rest stays at rest until acted on by an outside force. If you come home and you're like, well, I just want to chill out and take a little rest for an hour, and then that hour turns into an hour and a half, that hour and a half turns into 2 hours, and it's like, okay, well, I'll just do it tomorrow. That's what I'm talking about. Get home and just, when you pull up into your driveway, take 30 seconds, hype yourself up, be like, okay, what I just did for the day, my 9 to 5, I'm coming from doing this activity, whether it's taking the kids to soccer practice, it's doing this job or whatever. Take that 30 seconds, take a breath, and be like, okay, when I walk inside, my day's not over. When I walk inside, it's time for me. I'm going to go inside. I'm going to eat a snack. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And those things are begun. And then I can chill. Because I'd rather, like, what happens is you sit down on the couch or on your bed or whatever, and you start to kind of get lethargic and you begin to be at rest. And it takes more energy, takes more focus to boot yourself back up into, like, work mode or into getting things done mode. So I will just say, keep going through the day. And you're like, well, I'm just get tired. Okay, do it tired. You're going to have to get these things done. Okay. It's funny that like we can go to a concert or we can go to a fair, we can go to a parade, and we can be outside doing these fun things for 7 hours at a time. And we get home and we're tired, we're beat, and we go to sleep and we sleep well. But when we do things during our workday, it's like, man, I just get tired. It's like, what? That doesn't make sense to me. Like, you have the energy. There's no excuse. If you're eating food and you're drinking water, you have the energy. And if you find yourself lacking energy, you probably need to go work out some more to build up your gas tank to have more energy through the day. Sorry, that was a little bit of a tangent. Okay. Juggling things, I don't want you guys to think that I think that juggling things are easy. It's not. I'm starting another business right now. I'm going to announce it soon. I'm just making sure things are being done right. It's taking away from my discipline coaching business, not because by choice a little bit, because if I can build a personal, or if I can build like an in-person company that is like has some, I guess, notoriety, I can use this to build up my discipline business, okay? My coaching business, my simple disciplines coaching business, okay? So another thing is understanding where you need to allocate resources. There are some people who have businesses that are kind of on autopilot where they can then in turn go focus on something else. And so for me with this coaching business, there are some things that are on autopilot, but there are some things that aren't. Okay. So, but that takes time to build that up. So let's say if you have a business and you have an idea to start another company, build up that business, build up leaders in that business in place, build up, like train up leaders, understanding that they're not going to do things exactly like you, but that's okay. And understanding that you need to build up leaders to put them in places of leadership in order for them to lead that business or lead that company, in order for you to have focus and vision to start another one or expand that business. What a lot of people don't realize about starting your own business or company is that like you yourself, the entrepreneur, or you yourself are the bottleneck to your own business. And you can apply this to other things in life, but you yourself hold yourself back. Excuse me, I'm just sneezed. Yeah, excuse me, sorry. How awkward is it to sneeze on a podcast? I think that's the first time I've ever had to sneeze on a podcast. Excuse me, sorry. You need to be able to free yourself up as the head visionary of your business to have vision, to build things out, to expand. If you're not expanding and you're not growing, you're going to crash and burn. Okay? Staying stagnant in anything, whether it's fitness, business, or in life, you will backslide. It's kind of impossible to stay parked on that part of the mountain. You always need to be trying to take just little steps. I'm not talking like expand your business from one location to 20 locations, or lose 20 pounds in a month, or go from not reading any books or the Bible at all to reading a chapter or 2 chapters a day. No, I'm talking like little steps. If it's reading, start off with 5 minutes. If it's your business, think about how you can expand your business to another product line, or to just like one more location, or just like little stuff. I guess for some businesses, adding another location is a huge step, but you guys see what I'm getting at here. It's not taking these gigantic steps every day. It's taking little steps in multiple areas. Okay. So to wrap this kind of topic up of juggling things in life, you need to set a priority list, break them down into critical tasks that you need to get done on that day, on those days. And I write them out sometimes. I will go to my whiteboard and I will literally write things out. It's only for me. It's not really organized. I literally just scribble on the whiteboard. I need to do this, 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 and I just cross them off as I do them. And then if I need a note for something I need to do by the end of the week, I just write it on the bottom right or bottom left or somewhere else, or I just know that I got to do it. You don't need to make these, like, some people need to do this and they work well with it, where they have one of those written out planners and they write out in their planner, that's fine. But I see a lot of people, what happens is they spend so much time making that planner perfect that they don't do the task because they spend so much time organizing. Okay. I will say there is some power to organizing up front to make things run smoother, but at some point you're putting so much time into your organization process that you're not actually doing these tasks. Now, if some people really need that heavy structure, so go ahead and do that. But that resorts back to the knowing your capabilities and your limitations. Okay. So at the end of the day, just do what works for you, but understand that you need to make little steps every single day in any area to be successful over the long term. And as far as juggling multiple tasks at the same time, just really weed out things that aren't really bearing much fruit. Okay? If you're trying to do let's just say you're trying to do thing A, thing B, thing C, but thing A isn't bearing much fruit and it's taking time out of being able to accomplish thing B and C, then just cut A out. And you'll realize that if you are able to put more resources of time and energy, etc., into those other two things that are actually bearing fruit, those things are going to be way more fruitful. And then maybe eventually you can go back to bringing on thing A. Hopefully you guys were tracking through all that. Hey, thank you guys for listening. It really means a lot that you've listened to the shows. This was the first episode I've done in a while because I took a couple weeks off from doing it, just focusing on some other things. I practiced what I preach. So I didn't cut the podcast out. I just took a little break because doing 2 episodes a week, doing 1 episode a week kind of catches up with you. And I just want to make sure that I'm getting people enough time to catch up with all of them, because sometimes they're like, oh, I didn't listen to the new one, I'm listening to the old one. So I'm just giving time for people to catch up, and also making sure that I can give you guys a solid quality product in the form of this podcast. But if you've liked this episode, or even if you haven't, you can message me at Simple Disciplines on Instagram. Let me know what you think of this episode. Also, share with your friends, post it on Instagram, send it to people. You can copy and paste the link and you can text it to someone, be like, hey, this guy just has his podcast and it's good and I like it, you should listen to it. Perfect. And if you don't like it, tell me what you didn't like about it. Message me at Simple Disciplines on Instagram. Okay. Thank you guys for listening. I appreciate it, and have a good one. Peace.